What's up, chat? How are we doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Happy Friday. Gloomy day today. Started raining for a little bit, but nonetheless, went to go play some basketball. That was pretty fun. Got some shots up today. Definitely feel like I'm getting better day by day, week by week. Still not one of those star players, but I can get around. And nonetheless, let's get into chapter number 5. Case study, the boy in the shower. Number 1, persecution. When you were a graduate assistant in 2001, did something occur that was unusual? McQuarrie, yes. P, could you tell the jury about the occurrence? March 21st, 2017, Dauphin County Courthouse in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The witness is Michael McQuarrie, former quarterback turned assistant coach of the Pennsylvania State University football team, strapping, self-confident with close crossed hair, the color of paprika. His interrogator is the Deputy Attorney General for the state of Pennsylvania, Laura DeCata. McQuarrie. One night I made my way to the football building, and proceeded to one of the locker rooms in the building. I opened the locker room door. I heard showers running, heard slapping sounds, and entered another doorway that was already propped up open. My locker in the aisle of lockers was immediately to my right. Turned to my locker, and obviously I knew someone was in the locker room taking a shower, and the slapping sounds altered me that something more than just a shower was going on. At that point, Dicta stops him. What time of day was it? McQuarrie says 8:30 at night on a Friday. That corner of the campus is quiet. The last building is all but deserted. The doors are locked. P. Okay, I interrupted you. I wanted to ask you another question. You have described something as slapping sounds. You aren't talking about like clapping, like applause. McQuarrie, no. P, you are talking about a different kind of sound. McQuarrie, yes. McQuarrie said he looked over his right shoulder to a mirror on the wall, which allowed him to see at an angle into the shower. He saw a man naked standing behind someone called a mere individual. P, were you able to make you say a mere individual? Are you talking about a 17 or 16-year-old or somebody who appeared younger? McQuarrie, oh, younger. P, okay, what should be the estimation of the age of the boy you saw? McQuarrie, roughly 10 to 12 years old. P, okay, were they clothed or unclothed? McQuarrie, unclothed. Naked. Did you see any movement? Slow, very subtle movement, but hardly any. Okay, but slow, subtle movement that you saw, what kind of movement was it? Was it moving? It was Jerry behind the boy, right up against him, skin to skin. Yes, absolutely. Stomach to back. Yes. The Jerry McQuarrie was referencing to was Jerry Sandusky, who had then just retired as defensive coordinator of the Penn State football team. Sandusky was a beloved figure at football obsessed Penn State. McQuarrie had known him for years. McQuarrie ran upstairs to his office and called his parents. He's tall and he's a pretty strapping guy, and he's not a scaredy cat, but he was shaken. McQuarrie's father told the court after his sons finished his testimony, he was clearly shaken. His voice wasn't right enough that his mom picked up on the phone without ever seeing him. She said, "There's something wrong, John." After McQuarrie saw Sandusky in the shower in February 2001, he went to his boss, Joe Paterno, the legendary head coach of the Penn State football team. Did you explain to him that Jerry Sandusky was naked in the shower? Yes, absolutely. Did you explain to him that there was skin-on-skin contact with the boy? I believe so. Yes, ma'am. And did you explain to him you heard these slapping sounds? Yes. Okay, I'm not asking you what he said. What was his reaction? What was his demeanor? McQuarrie, saddened. He kind of slumped back in his chair and put his hands up on his face, and his eyes just kind of went sad. Partino told his boss, the athletic director at Penn State, Tim Corley. Corley told another senior administrator at the university, Gary Schwartz. Curley and Schwartz then told the school's president, Graham Spanner. An investigation folded. In due course, Sandusky was arrested, and at his trial, an extraordinary story emerged. 8 young men testified that Sandusky had abused them hundreds of times over the years in hotel rooms and locker room showers, and even in the basement of his home while his wife was upstairs. Sandusky was convicted of 45 counts of child molestation. Penn State paid over $100 million in settlements to his victims. He became, as the title of one book about the case reads, the most hated man in America. The most sensational fact about the Sandusky case, however, was that phrase, in due course. Mick Corey saw Sandusky in the shower in 2001. The investigation into Sandusky's behavior did not start until nearly a decade later, and Sandusky wasn't arrested until November 2011. Why did it take so long? After Sandusky was put behind bars, the spotlight fell on the leadership of the Penn State University. Joe Paterino, the school's football coach, resigned in disgrace and died shortly thereafter. A statue of him that had been erected just a few years before was taken down. Tim and Curley and Gary Schwartz, the two senior university administrators, Mick Corey had met with were charged with conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and failure to report a case of child abuse. Both went to jail, and in the scandal's final devastating conclusion, prosecutors turned their attention to the university's president, Graham Spanner. He had led the school for 16 years and had transformed its academic reputation. He was beloved. In November 2011, he was fired. 6 years later, he was convicted of child endangerment. At the height of the controversy, Sandusky gave an interview to NBC Sports anchor Bob Costas. Costas, you say you're not a pedophile. Sandusky, right. Costas, but you're a man who, by his own admission, had showered with young boys, highly inappropriate. Multiple reports of you getting into bed with young boys who stayed at your house in a room in the basement. How do you account for these things? And if you're not a pedophile, then what are you? Sandusky, well, I'm not a person that has taken a strong interest. I'm a very passionate person in terms of trying to make a difference in the lives of some young people. I work very hard to try to connect with them. Castas, but isn't what you're just describing the classic MO of many pedophiles? Sandusky, well, you might think that, I don't know. Sandusky laughs nervously, launches into a long defensive explanation, and then, Castas, are you sexually attracted to young boys, to underage boys? Sandusky, am I sexually attracted to underage boys? A pause. Castas, yes. Another pause. Sandusky, sexually attracted, I enjoy young people. I love to be around them. But no, I'm not sexually attracted to young boys. Graham Spanner let that man roam free around the Penn State campus, but here's my question in the light of Anna Montes and Bernie Madoff and Harry Markopolos and every bit of evidence marshaled by Tim Levine about how hard it is for us to overcome our default to truth. Do you think that if you were the president of Penn State confronted with the same set of facts and questions, you would have behaved any differently? Kind of a side note, I get very interested and very fascinated about how some people react or some people behave in such a way when it comes to a significant other or when it comes to some of their attractions, sexual attractions or kinks that they have in life. Because one, to me, they're a bit outrageous, they're a bit over the top, but two, in this case, it's uncalled for. It's something that you should go to jail for, you know what I mean? And my initial thought is, how do you even get to that stage? How do you even get to the point in life where you start to look at young boys and say, hey, I'm going to shower with them skin to back and act like I'm trying to be there for best interest. Very, very weird things. I don't know if it's just because of drugs. I don't know if it's because they're actually invested and sexually attracted to these young boys. But if I was the president, I heard these things, immediately fired and called an investigation and hopefully gets in jail. But what's unfortunate here is that the president ends up going to jail for this same thing or related situation, which is another big issue. But nonetheless, crazy. We're going to continue on the story tomorrow. Hope you guys have a good day. Good night. Peace.